8th grade, Algebra 1. This is Mrs. Sigley, and we are continuing with applying the quadratic formula in real-life situations. These questions are from assignment number 2, specifically question number 14 and number 15. So we're giving you a couple of more freebies today. So my equation for the first example reads as h equals to negative 16 t squared plus 90t. So a soccer ball is kicked from ground level. And that is the reason that you don't have a C value or S value. It is because you are starting at ground level, which is 0. And there's 3 questions I told you that you're going to need to find. First, it's going to be the time that it took to reach maximum height, which is your X or your T value. Secondly, what is the maximum height, which is your Y value or H value. And finally, how long did it take to reach the ground or water level, which is your same thing as finding your root solution 0 or x-intercept. So in this question number 14, I'm asking you to find the maximum height. So I'm asking you to find the Y value or the H value in vertical motion form. But in order for me to do that, I first have to find the axis of symmetry. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write the vertical motion form h equals to negative 16 t squared plus 90t. And then underneath, I'm going to change it to standard form, which is y equals to negative 16 x squared plus 90x plus 0. And now I can identify my variables. My A value is negative 16, my B value is positive 90, and my C value is 0. So I'm going to label my variables. A is negative 16, B is 90, and C is 0 because you started at ground level. So the first step that I told you is that you have to find your axis of symmetry. And x equals to negative b divided by 2 times a. I'm going to substitute negative 90 divided by 2 times negative 16. Enter that into your calculator and you should get an answer of 2.81 hundredths or 2.81. And this is your X value, your T value, which means that's the time that it took to reach maximum height. But that's not what the question is asking. The question is asking what is maximum height? So I've got to do another step. And so the second step is I have to find the vertex. So all I'm going to do is to substitute it back into my equation. So y equals to negative 16 times 2.81, square it, plus 90 times 2.81. And when you enter that into your beautiful calculator, y is going to equal to 126 and 56 hundredths, or 126.56. And of course, because we're talking about feet, so it would be feet. And that is going to be the same thing as your h, which is the height. So in this little story, it took, from ground level, it took 2.81 seconds to reach the maximum height of 126.56 hundredths feet in the air. And so I did not ask you how long it took to reach ground, back to the ground. It's that we just reached, all we wanted was this. Right here. What was the maximum height? So my answer to this one is B. For question number 15. So now I am asking you, how many seconds did it take to reach the ground? So now I am asking you for the root, the solution, the 0, or the x-intercept. So once again, whatever you feel comfortable, because it is a quadratic formula, you can use the x method, you can use the box method, or you can use the hybrid, but I'm going to use the quadratic formula because we taught everybody the quadratic formula. And so in the quadratic formula, it's going to be x equals to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c, and I'm going to divide that by 2 times a. And so all I'm going to do now is substitute, and I'm going to use the information from the top. So x equals to negative 90 plus or minus the square root of 90 squared minus 4 times negative 16 times 0, all being divided by 2 times negative 16. So by now you should know that you don't use alpha y equals, that you do what's in the radical first, just in case you can get a perfect square root. And so x is going to equal to negative 90 plus or minus 80/100ths, all being divided by negative 32. So you use that fancy calculator and you check to see if 80/100ths is a perfect square root, and it happens to be so. So x is going to equal to negative 90 plus or minus 90 being divided by negative 32. And if you remember when you did the quadratic formula, that this is going to be two problems. And so I'm going to split it. The first one is x equals to negative 90 plus 90 divided by negative 32. And the other one is going to be x equals to negative 90 minus 90 divided by negative 32. And so this one's going to be x equals to 0, and this one's going to be x equals to 5.6 or 5 6/10. I can't use the 0. And the reason that I can't use the 0 is because we know that it did not take him 0 seconds to hit the ground. It took time. So I can't use the 0. So therefore, it took him 5.6 seconds to reach the ground. And I rounded, okay? So when you use your calculator, you're going to be able to see your answer. I already rounded here. And so my answer to this one, it is going to be C, 5.63. So when you work it out, you're going to see that it's closer to 5.63 than it is to 5.65. So be very careful on your rounding. So here's the little story. Again, my drawings are the worst, but so you can understand, there is the y-axis. Here's the x-axis. This time around, you kick the ball at ground level. So ground level is right here. Okay. You kick that ball And so that ball had a maximum height of 126.56 feet. You kicked it really high in the air till it reached right there. So from the time that you kicked it to the time it reached here, it took 2.81 seconds. It reached the maximum height, and because then it has to come down, it creates your parabola. And so it hit the ground at 5.6 seconds. And those are the 3 questions that we're going to ask you. So good luck with your homework. Again, if you have any questions, refer to the video or Google or Khan Academy, but please try these examples on your own. The next lesson is going to be exponential functions, and again, that's a brand new concept. So we'll see you next week. Bye.